Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 515 for March 2nd, 2022. Thanks for coming out. Hey, hello everybody. I am Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks for coming out to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy Wednesday to do that. I'm checking the chat. I see a lot of people that came in from Ham Radio Dude's live stream. So thanks, dude. Appreciate you giving us the shout out. So go check out the Ham Radio Dude as well if you're watching this. All right, let's go say hi to some hosts. Some hosts, that would be the accurate term for the amount of hosts we have. I will mention right up front, Don has come down with a case of laryngitis, so he will not be joining us. We give him our best and hope he's resting up and, just keeping those wonderful, his voice cords all safe and sound. How's it going, Gordo?
All is well here. Happy Mardi Gras. And we look forward to a great show coming up in seconds.
All right. Amanda, what's going on with you?
Yeah, I literally had to tell Don, just shut your trap, man. Take the night off, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. So, and, he listens to things like he listens to his Don, and probably not listening, but hopefully he's getting better out there. And let's see. So, yeah, we don't have any amateur radio newsline this week, but we do have some special guests and some pretty cool videos. And what else do we have? Oh, and stay tuned with some awards, prizes from Josh. And I'll be watching chat. Josh will be watching chat. So just put the @ sign at us. We'll grab your questions and hand them over to the appropriate person. So stay tuned.
Yeah, you can always just at Ham Radio Crash Course in the chat with your questions. Or Amanda, why don't you just mention your call sign, because you're in there with your call sign, right?
No, I think it's my name, Amanda Alden.
Okay. So yeah, if you ping either one of us, we'll see it, and then we'll be talking. So I think we're going to throw it over to Gordo to kick things off. He's going to talk a little bit about what he's been up to. Gordo?
Yeah, well, I apologize for missing the last couple of shows, but we've been out here playing ham radio. And a very happy good evening to all of our viewers. And also to Cindy, and you'll hear who Cindy is in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look a few weeks back at what happened at Quartz Fest. And at Quartz Fest, they launched yet another balloon, a high-altitude balloon, to drift maybe halfway around, well, maybe one time around, maybe 2 times around the world, 3 times around the world. This is the shot of the balloon that drifted with APRS and others all the way around the world 3 times. So it really points out that when hams make things happen, they do it in a big way, and for all of us on APRS to be able to track and see where it's going. Well, after Quartz Fest, it is Winter Field Day. And Winter Field Day is always a popular get-together, whether it's in the snow back on the East Coast or muggy weather in the Midwest, or Southern California weather with a little bit of clouds that you see there. This is the Whiskey 6 Zulu Echo station that was operating 6 outdoor transmitters. And this huge tower that you're looking at is thanks to Dino, Kilo X-Ray 6 Delta. Dino has the U.S. tower trailer with a 110-foot tower. And let me tell you, talk about a low angle of radiation when you get an antenna up that high. Well, it's not something that you'd want to leave up that high in the wind. Well, Dino could figure out a way to do it, but it's a tower that really means business. This is one of the 3-element beams. This one was the W6 Whiskey Golf beam, and it did and had the capabilities of triple duty in that it would first beam one direction and then the other direction, and it was quite a good performer at the Winter Field Day. And that's Vi Barrett now. Vi, W6 Charlie Bravo Alpha, is a great CW operator. And it's really fun when you hold a field day get together and folks turn out for field day just to watch the action. And as Vi found out, they got recruited into it. Well, nothing beats good old manual control, and that's what you see here on the 3-element beam for the winter field day. And it sure beats having to try and mess around with rotors and 4 or 6 conductor rotor cable and so on. You just aim the rope one way or the other way and turn the antenna. And as you can see, the Orange County Amateur Radio Club, Whiskey 6 Zulu Echo, has all the nice accommodations out here in this big grassy outdoor field. And that is their operating tent that you see on the left-hand corner during another one of Southern California's get-togethers. When you get an antenna up this high, what it's going to do is to lower the angle of radiation. And they were able to work stations that those of us with antennas only 30 or 50 feet high could not even hear. And this one, I believe, is on 40. And they worked it all night long and really had some great results. That's Chip, K7 Juliet Alpha. Chip's got the headset on and the boom mic, and he is ready to roll. They had a computer logging set up for the W6 Zulu Echo get-together. And Chip may be tuning in now, and I've got the volume up in case he wants to come on in. But he's been a very busy man doing, as Bob Heil has done, hundreds of Zoom as well as in-person club presentations. So thanks, Chip, for all your hard efforts. As you can see, separation of antennas is critical for field day, and they did a good job here on the playground field. Luckily, that field was just mowed, so everything went together nicely. And the grass was still a little bit damp, which gave them a good low takeoff angle for field day. And here's a 3-element beam. And it is one that, through a triplexer, allowed 3 different stations, one on 20, one on 15, and one on 10, to be able to make contacts all at the same time on the same antenna. You wouldn't think that a triplexer would be able to keep 20 meters out of 10 and 15 out of 20, but they do work, and they work very well, as they found out. And this was quite a performer for the W6 Zulu Echo winter field day get-together. And of course, there is indeed their operating tent going up midday, getting ready for the full event. And when the event started, they were indeed on the air. So I encourage all of you that if you get an opportunity was that Chip? Let me just try again. Chip, was that you? Let me just see if he's going to come through again. I thought I heard something there, but it gives you the opportunity of shaking out all of your equipment midterm to the field day in June. And oh, okay. That's Heiko, and he's there as well. Hi, Heiko. And Heiko, did you do any field day activities during the winter? Let's see if he...
UK7JA. Hi, Heiko.
Oh, okay. And Chip, if you'll just say hi to the folks and tell us about your beam antenna. Now, this is interesting. His beam antenna is one that is out of fishing poles and number 14 wire. And how did it do, Chip? Go ahead.
Oh, we definitely had a very, very, very good result from it. It's those antennas are very, very lightweight, and they provide all the performance of an antenna built out of aluminum, but they are much, much lighter. You know, a 2-element 20-meter beam is something like 12 pounds, and 3 elements is less than 20 pounds. So it makes it very possible to get things up in the sky. I am not signed on to Ham Nation quite yet, so just give me a second, K7JA.
All right, Chip. And Chip, how about telling us how did you do for winter field day? How was your classification, and were you close to winning, or did you think you win it? Go ahead. Silence.
Can't copy, sorry.
Chip, how did you do for winter field day? Your score, over.
Oh, We did very well. We had, I don't know, something like 140,000 points, something like that. I think that we are probably going to have the top score in the nation by far for the fourth time now, the W6ZE Orange County Amateur Radio Club. So we had a good result, and nobody got COVID-19 along the way.
Oh, that's great. All right. Thanks, Chip. 73, WB6NOA. So you see, you never know where your ham radio pals are going to call you. This is on one of my local frequencies here, and out of nowhere he pops up. So we wish everybody a great spring season coming upon us very shortly, and we hope all of you have a chance to work some Icom America equipment. That's what we've got back here that you see. So let's go ahead and see what's happening with Icom America, and maybe some great prizes for some of those of you that have entered into the mini contest that they have right here on Ham Radio Crash Course, Ham Nation.
Now is the time to spice up your ham shack with Icom's new, now shipping, ID52A handheld. This radio is perfect for staying in or venturing out and working your favorite bands this holiday season. Icom's newest handheld amateur radio is a VHF-UHF dual bander with D-Star and FM dual mode functions. The ID52A is now shipping. This radio supports conventional FM communications and D-Star simplex, repeater, regional, and worldwide calls over the D-Star Internet Gateway. The ID52A is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display and the ability to send photos over D-Star with a connected Android device. Other features include wideband receiver with guaranteed range of 144 to 148 and 440 to 450 MHz, simultaneous receive for VHF-VHF, UHF-UHF, VHF-UHF with dual DV mode. Integrated GPS GLONASS receiver including grid square location, micro SD card slot, micro USB for data transfer, programming, and charge, and it meets IPX7 waterproof specifications. For more information on this and all the great Icom radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur.
Well, thank you very much to Icom for sponsoring Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. You know, every month, we talk about this, every month they give away a radio, and what's that radio right there over my left-hand shoulder here? They're giving away another ID52. They did this for December, and they're doing another one for March. So if you want to get in on the giveaway, you just go to the link in the description, icomamerica.com/Ham Nation, and click the Enter Now. Provide some details like your call sign, I think your email address, and that gets you on a giveaway. The giveaway will be at the end of the month for the radio, but they're going to pick 3 winners this week and the next time we do Ham Nation, and those winners get a swag pack. It includes things like shirts, t-shirts, hats, t-shirts, water bottles, other Icom type swag items. Connor got one. Connor posted it on the Facebook page. It was really, really cool what he got in the swag pack. It looks like they got an updated swag pack kind of thing that they're doing right now, which is pretty cool. So if you want to go follow Connor, you can see it, or on the Ham Radio Crash Course Discord, I think he dropped a picture as well. All right, let's go back a step for questions. Big thank you again to Icom. We'll go back a step for questions for Gordo. Amanda, did you have any?
I did. Actually, this was a personal question. And Gordo, you reminded me of it when you're pointing at all of these Yagis during winter field days. So one of my bigger passions now is to start listening more or working more on 12 and 17. What's your thoughts? You're an A4S person, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. What do you think of an add-on kit for 12 and 17 for the A4S? Is it even possible?
Well,
I've read some specs on it.
For those with a dedicated 3-element beam that are 3 bands, one with loading coils or traps in the band elements on the beam, it does 20, 15, and 10. And if you get the add-on kit for the MFJ Cushcraft A4, it'll give you 40 meters. So my first exploration on 12 and 17 meters was, can I force tune it? And yes, you can make some good contacts on 12 and 17, some of the other ITU bands. even though it's not absolutely resonant, not at all resonant, just by using an antenna tuner. But remember, the coax is going to be high with SWR coming down the outside, so it's going to get into everything. But I made some contacts. Then I tried a dipole, one for each band. I went to 17 first. And on 17 meters with a dipole, holy smoly, a simple little dipole in an inverted V fashion gave me much better results than trying to force tune a well-elevated 10, 15, and 20 and 40 meter dedicated beam. So just a plain old dipole made of 14 gauge wire, as Chip, as I just heard, does with his beams, is a great performer and does better than trying to force tune it. But still, you can get a good signal report from a nearby station, maybe 1,000 miles away, on the ITU bands by force tuning it. But the SWR coming down the coax is going to get into everything in your house. So suggest do a resonant dipole.
Good suggestion. I think Bob Heil would suggest the same thing. Just throw up a wire and see what it will do. Josh, do you play on the work bands at all?
Well, oddly enough, we did a fun little net last Sunday, and we're planning on doing it again this Sunday. By the way, if you join us on the Ham Radio Crash Course Discord, link in the description to the HF net. If you click on that, it'll take you to our tracking of all this. We got up my time Sunday around noon o'clock, 12 o'clock, noon, and we started out on 20 meters, and we just kept going higher and higher into the bands until we got to 10 meters, and we made contacts all the way up. I made contacts on every band from 20 to 10, and when I got to 10, I had a pile up. There was a ton of people on 10. It was really, really cool. Having a step IR, I guess, helps for being able to do that. So being able to hop on the bands
so now
like that.
he admits what the antenna is. Okay,
yeah.
I was wondering, is this a loop or what? But
no.
now it's all coming clear.
Yeah. We had net control on the East Coast, and I was able to, I think, on every band talk to our net control on the East Coast except on 10 meters.
Wow, props got to be with you too, though. So.
Yeah, they've got like a super station out there though, so it was pretty. it was not that big of a problem for them.
So Amanda, the key is get a resonant feed point and a resonant antenna way up high, and it'll outdo almost anything else that's not necessarily designed for that particular band.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell my buddies, because we were having this discussion about the A3Ss and A4Ss, if this was worth it, and I'm going to say Gordo gives the thumbs down. So.
Well, right. I think he's saying just know what you're getting into, right? If you're going that route, just be careful.
Yeah, your alarm systems are going to get set off and things like that, or your doorbell's going to start ringing, or your cat's going to run around in circles, or your Alexa's going to start talking to you. So beware of what you're asking for.
Yeah, that's still one of my favorite little stories. Somebody on the Ham Radio Crash Course Discord, we were all doing an FT8 net or something like that, and his family knew that he was on FT8 because every 15 seconds the oven light would turn on and then turn off and then turn on and turn off. So it's literally a visual indicator that you're running 15-second on-off FT8, which is pretty funny. So, yeah,
that's hilarious. Good. Well, thank you, Gordo, for the insight. I appreciate it, as all the viewers do, and we love all your photos always. But now we have to see it. Maybe Steve has some things. He's in a camper now, so maybe he can tell us some crazy RF stories as well. Take it away, Josh.
So it's my great honor to welcome Steve Goodgame, K5 ATA on Ham Nation with the ARRL. He is the Education and Learning Manager. So, Steve, what's going on? How you doing right now?
Doing great, Josh. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Good. So, Education and Learning Manager, it's a position you took on recently. How long you been in that role?
I took it in September, actually, just after I started this school year, I guess it would be.
Right.
I kind of didn't expect to get a phone call, and I got a phone call, and it was an opportunity I couldn't say no to. It's the dream job where, I basically was in a role in school where I was getting to teach ham radio to kids, and had my Padawans, and David Minister said, I want to take what you did in Oxford, Mississippi, and do it everywhere.
I
So,
think it's super cool. You've obviously got the background with what you've been doing with the kids that you've been teaching now for a couple of years through the program that you run. Having you come to the ARRL seemed like a no-brainer. So it sounds like since you've joined them, you've had all kinds of interesting initiatives you've kind of kicked off, and I think you want to talk about a couple of them you got going on. What's up?
there are a few of I kind of want to get the word out, and some that I need, I guess, your help and our viewers' help to get the word out. Before I forget, though, I did want to throw out a quick note. There's a new ARDC club grant program coming out, and I don't have all the details on it yet, but from what I understand, clubs are going to be able to apply for a grant up to $25,000 for training materials and whatnot. So that's going to be a huge opportunity. So make sure you follow, hit the webpage, and later on Josh is going to throw up, or you can do it now if you want, the social page. You can, if you follow the social media outlets that we have, once that stuff goes live, they're going to start blasting that stuff out. And it's a huge opportunity, and we want to, take advantage of that. And obviously thank you to ARDC for providing that. So
is the ARRL coordinating that with the ARDC?
Like I said, I don't know all the details, but yeah, there's Mike Walters, I think, is the one heading it up in our building back there. So it's I don't know all the details of the relationship, but yes, we're handling it through the ARRL. Yeah, ARRL.
Yeah, we had now AR. What was it? Now ADRC.
It's the lack of coffee.
Right, I know, right? We had them out on Ham Nation a little while ago, and I talked to them actually at Hamcation. The amount of money that they have put out to help grow ham radio is just amazing. I am just super impressed by what they've been able to do. Amanda, your club got some help with that, right? The microwave relay.
They absolutely did. Rocky Mountain Ham Radio got a huge grant, and it's all to move out microwave between New Mexico all the way up to Wyoming for a wonderful, wonderful backup to internet and keeping reliability there. So yeah, it's awesome.
That's amazing. So Steve, what else is up? What's going on?
Well, I guess I'll start with, I want to end with the Sermon on the Mount, I guess. So
yeah.
One of the initiatives that we're doing is to help visually impaired hams. That's a big thing. There are a lot of hams that are either totally blind or partially blind, and accessibility for them has always been tough, to say the least. And this actually is a passion of mine, because several years ago now, I taught a 7th grade blind student English and literature, and she made it all the way to 7th grade, and no one had ever bought her a book in Braille.
And I was talking about this at Hamcation, and I was just shocked.
It is ridiculous, and I had to fight the fight to get that done. But we started getting, and these things are available for free through lending libraries and whatnot. But they had to jump through a few hoops to make that happen. And I guess spending that year watching her all of a sudden start reading, and then the first day when we were doing what they call popcorn reading in school, kind of bouncing around and kids are reading, and I looked over and I said, "Sarah, why don't you read?" And the whole class looked at me like, "Mr. G, did you forget? She's blind." And then all of a sudden she starts reading, and I mean, literally there are kids with tears in their eyes.
Wow.
So it's that's kind of been a big thing, and we want to take amateur radio to that community as well. I mean, we have a lot of hams that are blind, but for example, we know that a sighted person is not the best person to design a system for them to access. So I'm creating a working group, and I've got several blind hams who are willing to help me out with this. And basically I'm going to sit and I'm just going to listen for a few Zoom meetings and basically get the what works, what doesn't work, and what would be the ideal and the dream. And we're going to make it work somehow or another. So, it's not going to be a quick fix, but we're getting there. So that
is great.
That is awesome. Yeah.
So that's one thing that we're working on. Obviously we've started partnering with YouTube content creators. You've done some stuff for us. Several of the YouTube folks have. Mm-hmm. And, and if you create content, and I say YouTube, but really is anybody, if you create content and you have something that you want to get out there, we can be that forum. We have the Learning Center that we launched launched it right after I got there. And we have a form there where you can create a full course, or you just want to do a short webinar presentation on just something you find cool. We can do that. Those are typically 30 minutes with 15-minute Q&A period, which is also a resource that members have access to, and it's perfect for club meetings. A lot of times we struggle in club meetings to get speakers and presentations, and it's the perfect length. It's 30 minutes, and if you play it with the Q&A, it's 45 minutes, and you've got basically a canned presentation about, I think we've got 30 or so topics in there right now.
Wow.
So it's a great resource there, and that's on our Learning Center. And I don't know if I gave you that link or not. It's just learn.ARRL.org.
I don't know that I do. Okay.
And that's available for all clubs, all individuals, whether member or not, or
the Learning Center is a member service.
Okay.
So there are
Perfect.
a few things. Yeah, that's the Learning Center there, and you just log in using your same credentials that you would for the normal ARRL.org website, and you can browse through there. And I think you can, without logging in, I think you can click webinars at the top there and see at least the courses that are there if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look. Well, by the way, this website is very nicely done.
It's getting there. We're still building out content, but this is kind of my baby. So.
Wow, good for you, Steve. This is great. I'm going to the MCOM section. See. Oh, there it is. I hit the paywall.
Well, there should be. Go to on the air. I think there's some of them.
No, I think I have to log in to be able to see them. Oh, I see. Okay.
So there's a couple of them in front of the paywall there and it may not let you see them or interact with them, but. Yeah,
why are you not logged in, Josh?
Well, I just found out about this website. This is Amanda. This is the first time I literally just pulled the website up. That's great, Steve. This is a good website. Okay, cool. Well, I will be logging in. Maybe I'll do that after when we're talking. See if I can log in.
I will tell you, make sure you do have to have third-party cookies. It works really, really well on a PC, but I do get probably an email a day saying it's not working, and 99.9% of the time, well, even higher than that, it's third-party cookies. So you either have to enable them across the board, or you can just create an exception for a couple sites. And I've got those exceptions on the login page there, so that I get it. Not everybody leave those open for everybody.
I'm gonna stop for a second because Nico here on chat says I'm gonna have to check out that and pay for ARRL membership. Let's talk about that for a second. There are numerous reasons you should be paying for an ARRL membership. This is just one.
Yeah,
I think we can all have a bazillion reasons why you should be an ARRL member right now. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of times, and myself even, when I first got licensed in 93, I subscribed, and I say subscribe because that's what I thought it was. It was a subscription to QST,
right.
And it's really so much more than a subscription to QST. We have, there are benefits. I mean, we support education. Obviously, that's my baby. And I'm going to talk about some of the stuff we're doing with that. The technical information service, where pretty much any question you have, and they'll even answer non-member questions there as well. But, if you've got technical questions, you can email the lab. And these guys, I mean, literally, it's like the mad scientists. I mean, these guys are back there just itching to get questions because they love this stuff.
I have for RFI problems. I've emailed multiple times and talked directly to literally the people that you read the articles from on QST.
That's right.
And on the website, you're literally talking directly to these people that are putting out this amazing knowledge, right, that makes it available. And you're emailing them with your explicit questions, which is awesome.
And some of the most brilliant minds in amateur radio. I mean, let's face it. And let's not forget even the legal aspect. They're fighting for your bands all the time.
And they don't. Or I say because I'm there now. we don't win all the fights, obviously,
sure.
But I mean, we fight the fights that we fight and work on that. I know that there's some work with HOA stuff going on, and I helped with that a little bit over. I guess it was in the summer still. Maybe it was right after I came on staff, but. I mean, there are a lot of different projects out there and a lot of different facets to the organization there's so much more than just the magazine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then even Aries, they developed Aries, and this is respectable throughout the whole United States, and emergency management teams everywhere now recognize ARRL as the go-to for backup communication. So we can't thank the ARRL enough for putting their effort into that. So sorry to interrupt, Steve.
No,
I just
interrupt all you
saw
want.
that.
So that's
I
what
saw
I'm here.
that comment, and I was like, yes, it's important. Sign up right now.
And
Go ahead, Gordo.
oh, and the league really helped save our portion of the 3 gigahertz band. Everybody goes, what's happening up at 3,000 megahertz? Everything, including mesh networks for emergency preparedness. We would have lost the entire band of 5G and other sources had the league not been actively involved. And while we lost half the band, at least we got half the band left. So the league really came through on 3 gigahertz by saving us half of a ton of frequencies for mesh networks.
Absolutely.
And I see that Diamond Club sticker there on your microphone there. So thank you for that, Gordo.
Oh, yeah. So, we'll go back to Gordo so you can see it there. There it is. He's got his Diamond Club sticker right there.
But another thing that we're doing is, well, I've talked about partnering with content creators. And that's both. We're actually partnering both ways, not only having content creators make content for us on our channels, but us working with them to create content on their channels, like the handbook series that you were a part of that. Just creating that. I mean, if you think about it, that's where everybody goes to learn stuff nowadays. They go to YouTube. Yep. I just bought a house in Connecticut, and one of the wheels on my garage door fell off. And where did I go to learn how to put a new wheel on? I went to YouTube, and I learned it in like 3 minutes. So, when I first looked at it, I was like, "What in the world?" And I had no idea how to do it, and 3 minutes later I had it. So and that's and David Minster is not quiet about that at all. He is firmly a believer that YouTube is where most of the learning takes place. So that's where we're going in that direction. So
yeah, and speaking of your handbook series that we did, it actually, we culminated it at Hamcation with that great, expo where there was a whole track on different parts from the handbook that we talked. It was wonderful. Hands-on handbook. That's right.
Yeah.
It was a great time. And that was like totally just an in-person event for people that were there. I thought it was great.
Yeah, and that was great. And I still get emails about how great those presentations were, asking, hey, where are the slide decks and this and that and there? And the slide decks from all those are in the Learning Center as well. So, all those presentations, your slides are in there. All your typos and all.
I always got to have the typos. I always got to have the typos.
But, and then one of the big ones, which not surprising to you at least, Josh, because you know me, is youth. I'm a firm believer that we need to get more youth into the hobby. I know a lot of people are of differing opinions there as far as, different ages and whatnot. But I'm a firm believer we need to introduce these kids to amateur radio. And I did it in middle school. I had 60 some odd kids licensed in a few years in Mississippi. And that was funded almost entirely, not entirely, but almost entirely through my YouTube channel, which, people would send me radios, and everything that came into my YouTube channel went straight back out to kids. And, that's how we did it then. But we don't have to do it that way. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a YouTube channel to teach ham radio to kids. And you've got a site over there for the Teachers Institute, Josh, if you throw that thing up. I believe that one of the best ways to get kids into radio is at school. And, I know it works. I've done it. I started doing it way back in 2006, I think was the first year I had kids licensed. And you don't have to, you need to get them in school and engage them in school and not just get them licensed. And I learned that lesson the hard way. The first 3 kids I ever got licensed, they were 4th grade kids. They all got their license. They were proud as can be. And, they checked out a couple radios for me to take home. And then I moved to Mississippi and nobody was there to engage them. And so I watched their licenses expire.
Yeah,
and
it's sad. Yeah.
And that's one of the major arguments that people say is these kids, they get their license and then they just let it expire. They disappear. But that's not something that is, I guess, just kids. I mean, you have a ton of people who get licensed, into different hobby or aspects of the hobby, and then they don't get engaged and they let it expire.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I did in my classroom was I gave every kid who got a call sign a radio.
Wow.
I say I gave, my viewers gave, and people who sent them to me gave them a radio. I was just the middleman. And so, these kids have their radio, and it's just a cheap little, it shall remain nameless radio that, it's like Lord Voldemort. But, and as soon as that call sign hit, we stepped outside and they made their first contact right then. We taught them how to get on the radio, how to use the radio. And do we have all of them involved? No. I mean, we're not going to keep all of them engaged right now. But just last night at our local club meeting, my daughter and another youth, he's a 14-year-old young man, we're talking about starting their own youth club meetings and their own youth net here in Mississippi because there are so many kids here. So, they're working to engage themselves also. So, but the Teachers Institute, and before you throw that back up on me,
Mm-hmm.
I think you pulled up the
Do you want me to
little
pull
flyer
the flyer?
on there.
Yeah. I will
So
do that.
this flyer here, this is kind of where I need to turn the viewers into, I guess, missionaries and disciples. I need these flyers in teachers' hands. So it's on the website. You can pull it up, you can print it, but you don't have to. I will mail them to you. If you'll email me and just tell me, hey, I know 7 teachers that I can go talk to about this, I'll email it to you. I've got a whole packet of stuff that we've put together, and we've changed all of the literature to update it and created some new ones. Got these little rat cards that, the screen's up, but it got these little rat cards about 8 reasons to give amateur radio a try to hand out to kids.
Go ahead.
And to
hold it up.
grown-ups too.
Go ahead. You can hold, there you go.
I gotta
Oh,
hold it
cool.
over my face.
Yeah.
So little things like that, just to for the kid to take home and say, hey mom, so and so is talking about having a radio club at school, and it gives them something to look at. Even down to posters to hang in. If I can, it's got to be in front of me.
You gotta love that. That's the Skype fuzzy background. There you go.
Yeah. So it's got to be in front of me for
That's
that.
right.
But we've got all of this literature that we put together that if you want it and you're willing to go talk to a principal or talk to a teacher, I will send it to you. No, I mean, it's just, you're doing me a favor. I'll send it to you and get that done.
Let me pull this up for a really quick question here for you. So these pamphlets are something we would give to a teacher, right?
Yes.
This is to engage a teacher to potentially hop on a plane and go out to the ARRL to learn about this stuff, right?
Yes, and so the way this works, and we pay for everything but $100.
Okay.
So they have to put in up $100 for an application fee, and I think historically that came from just protecting to make sure that they actually get on the plane. Because once we sign somebody up, we spend a significant amount of money booking hotel rooms, getting equipment for these teachers. So it's kind of like just a commitment. And if the teacher doesn't get selected for it, they get the $100 back. So it's not like they're losing anything.
And Steve, a real quick question on that brochure I saw, and it was blocked out here locally, but it said application eligibility. What are some of the eligibilities so that we know?
If you can convince me that you're a teacher, you're eligible. That's pretty much it. But by that, I mean, if you teach in a school, public or private, but we've taken people who homeschool, have a homeschool cooperative, and they teach 6 or 7 kids. We can make that work.
Maybe even like a boys and girls club kind of after school program.
We can probably figure something out with that too.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
if you're a teacher teaching it in a classroom setting is, to kids, it doesn't apply to adult licensing courses and stuff like that, obviously.
Sure.
No.
But yeah, we fly you out. Obviously not first class because we don't have that kind of cash. we put you up at a hotel. We feed you. I'll even take you to a Hartford Yard Goats game. And
What is that?
it's minor league baseball, and it's mediocrity at its
competitive
best.
grass eating.
So, but it's a good time, and of course it's New England. I'm learning in New England everything is named after Dunkin' Donuts, and so it's like Dunkin' Donuts Park or Dunkin' Park or whatever it is.
Okay.
So, but they spend a week with our instructors, and in fact, Josh met one of them. Tommy was at Orlando with us.
Yep.
And these instructors, they know their stuff. So they teach these teachers how to teach amateur radio in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
They spend a week doing it. They don't have to be licensed, and that's a big thing I want to make sure I get across to y'all. For Teachers Institute 1, there are two different levels of it. For the first level, they don't have to have a license. They just have to be interested in helping kids learn about wireless technology. So, a lot of times people are like, well, I can't do it. I don't have my license. I don't know anything about ham radio. That's what this is for. So, and then they leave with that stuff. They don't leave the stuff with us. They leave with probably $1,000 worth of equipment to go back and actually implement this in their classroom.
And here on the West Coast, when we have had teachers attend that great 1-week course, they come back so supercharged that we have more kids popping up on Simplex and on our repeaters than we can shake a stick at. And this is wonderful for the growth of ham radio, thanks to the league.
So, and we're trying to grow that. Right now, in years past, we've taught, or the last several years, there have been 2 of what we call TI1, the first session, and 1 of TI2, which is like remote sensors and getting a little deeper into the weeds. And I've added a 3rd session for this year. We're just hoping for the best, hence where the disciples come in. And actually, we're working to try to even add a 4th one in Atlanta. Some of the folks in Atlanta said, I think we can fill an entire session in Atlanta. And so I told them, I said, look, we're here to serve you. So if you can fill a session, whether I have to throw the stuff in the back of my truck and take it to Atlanta, we'll have one in Atlanta.
Nice.
And so
I can't help. You are so flippin' passionate, Steve. Like,
well, this is my thing. So, this is, I live and I breathe this stuff. So, my wife tells people all the time, she's like, I'm busy and I'm tired half the time because I'm going from 5:30 till what time is it now? Almost 9.
Yeah.
But this is my dream job.
Great.
Wow.
Great.
That's awesome, Steve.
And then one of the biggest obstacles to getting into schools is the principal.
Sure.
A lot of times the administrator, and I get it, I was fortunate in my school district. My principal listened to me, and I sat down and explained, what I could do with it and what the kids could do with it. And he said, go for it. He let me do it for 1 class period the first year, and I got 18 or so kids licensed that year. And he was like, holy smokes, all right, run with this. And so now I've kind of, I guess, modified my strategy for approaching principals a little bit. And once again, we're going to talk about the ARDC. And it's not just the ARDC scholarship money that's out there, but they have thrown a bunch of money into scholarships the last couple of years.
Yes.
And so one of the things I tell them to do is, I have to hold it in front of me. This is multiple pages, and I know it's blurry.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've got this on one of the sites I sent you.
This is the scholarship site?
This is the scholarship site.
Yes.
But what I did is, before we switched it over there, you could see the little orange highlights. You print this sucker off, and then you highlight every dollar amount on this thing, every one of them. So, I've got little orange highlights because orange is my color anyway. And every single dollar amount on there, you highlight. And don't plan on getting this back. You're going to leave this on that principal's desk. Even if he says, well, I don't know that's going to work, you're just going to forget that there. And it's going to stay there. Because his main thing is, what is this going to do for my school and what is this going to do for my kids? Mm-hmm. And then he's going to start looking down this list thinking, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids got $25,000 each.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, and then look, these 5 kids got 15,000, and I mean, we gave away the foundation gave away $564,000 in scholarships
Wow.
last year.
Wow.
One more number to suggest is how much these kids earned after they got these scholarships and went to college and became electrical engineers.
That's
Right.
that's a really great idea. Boom, modify that strategy a
There
little
you
bit.
go.
That's
I
great.
seriously, like, how many kids this was their career beginning, and they
Because
took
a
it
lot of
from
these
there.
kids, they're never going to be exposed to this stuff
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
unless we kind of force it.
That's right.
So, and this year, it's like $850,000 we're giving away
Wow.
for scholarships.
That's
And
awesome.
when you tell these principals the only way your kids are eligible is if they are a licensed ham. They can't even apply for these if they're not a ham.
Yes.
And they have to have been a ham for at least a year before the scholarship applications.
Oh,
Good
interesting.
idea.
Okay.
Which means you can't get those kids that are just like, oh, look, here's another scholarship opportunity. I'm going to cram for a test
Mm-hmm.
No.
and apply for it. And then I know it's going to use a little bit of ink. And so if a problem with you, email me. I will print it and mail it to you. But I'm also, and I didn't send you this page. These are the pictures of every single kid who won a scholarship.
Nice.
And
That's
I
awesome.
include that in there because, once again, you're leaving that on their desk.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can sit there and look and like, wow, these don't look all that different from the kids in my school. And then, if they do look different than the kids in your school, then there's no reason not to change that look. We can, these scholarships are open to every ham out there. So it's an opportunity that, I mean, we're silly not to capitalize on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of the reasons my wife got her license when she found out that there's scholarships. So she's like, I got to know this so that I can get the kids to get it, and then we can get. And I'm like, well done, ARRL, well done.
For hams that get contacted by kids saying, "Will you help me sponsor to become one of the scholarship recipients?" Please do. The league immediately sends back a note saying, we've got your sponsorship of this individual, so they pay attention. So if everyone out there gets someone coming up saying, will you help me get a scholarship, please make that letter to the league's committee, and believe me, they read every word.
Yeah, and it's actually super simple now. They've changed it now. It's an app. There's an app for everything.
Right.
And
Right.
and now you just attach it to the app and it uploads to their site. It's a piece of cake to write a letter of recommendation for these
Right.
kids. And so, and don't waste time doing it, because I know my daughter applied for one. She's a senior this year. She applied for these scholarships and she was chasing down rabbits on December 30th, saying, hey, you still haven't turned this in. Can you hop on that for me? So, when a kid walks up and says, hey, Gordo, I want to apply for this scholarship. Will you write me a letter of recommendation? It doesn't have to be, any huge formal. Just lay out why this kid is deserving of this opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
And submit it. And then one last thing that principals are going to ask, well, one of the last things, is what is this going to cost me?
Mm.
Because, I mean, it's a technical hobby. And so it can get expensive, but we have grants for that as well. So we have station grants. The ARRL has station grants through the education technology program that come through my office, that up to $1,500 to help put a station in a school.
Wow.
And the sad part of this is this school year we had 2 applicants. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
And so
Wow.
we gave away both of them. I mean, obviously, but there is no reason for schools not to chase this down.
Wow.
And so my thinking is the reason they're not chasing this down is because they don't know about
I
it.
don't know. Yeah.
Which is why I'm here. This is
That's
why
it.
I pinged you, Josh, and said, hey, can you give me some time? Because people need to know this stuff. And,
Yep.
there's 320 people in this right now. So if each of these 320 people goes out and finds one or two teachers or principals and tells this stuff to, we can start turning this around and getting more teachers into it, more kids into it.
So that's a great spot to ask some of these questions that we got. A couple asked, where do we go to print these PDFs or download these PDFs? Do I have that page that I can link people?
Let's see. The one that you pulled up,
Oh, we got some weird buzz.
I don't know what the buzz is.
Somebody's got a hot mic. There we
go.
Thanks.
So you pulled up the trifold PDF. The other ones,
yes,
they came off the press. In fact, they were late for getting to Orlando, so they're not on there yet, but they will be.
Okay. Where
so when they are,
I'll them? Eventually.
They'll be in the ARRL education section there. So what I'll do is when they're up there, also I'll email it to you, and if you don't mind putting it in your show notes beneath there, that they can find it that way as well.
Absolutely. But is there so the learning.arrl.com, that's going to be where they go?
Yeah. If they just go to their normal ARRL.org and just put /TI, that's TI. Will take you to the Teachers Institute, and I'll make sure they're under there as well.
Terrific.
Excellent. And a lot of questions on how to find you, Steve, or where to email you. So do you want to give your
my call sign at ARRL.org. So K5ATA@ARRL.org.
That is super. There was a question, let's see, from Ham Radio Crash Course. How about getting the info to school boards so they can pass it on to schools? Hey, so I would like to, I often say, we can all do so much, right? But individually, if you pursue your school board, your principals, your teachers that work the network that you have. I'm sure you know a teacher, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the teachers of the kids that your kids go to. It could be just a teacher right? If you start building this mindset where teachers start to know about what amateur radio is and wireless technologies, it will start to get its own word of mouth among teachers and start to get its own kind of snowball effect. And I think that's probably one of the things that you're hoping for, Steve. That's
what I'm hoping for. And, Gordo mentioned earlier that every teacher that comes out of this is just on fire. If we can get one teacher in, seriously, it is that good of a staff development. I should have to be beating these people away, but I'm not. We're waiting until we're slowly filling up these sessions, but this is such a great opportunity for teachers that really, as soon as that application period opens, we should get flooded.
Yeah, I think I want to, how do I bookend this? Boy, there's a lot that we talked about here. I kind of want to go back a step and roll through the websites really fast. So, again, the Teachers Institute is what Steve came out to talk about. On that page, which is linked in the description, there's a brochure. You can hand this brochure to any one of your friends who is a teacher or the administrators in your school, right? That may be more available or open to the idea. Now, while we were going through that, Steve also mentioned now I'm on the Diamond Club. How did I get there? The scholarships that are also available. So this is for the kids. This is for the young people. So there's multiple things going on here, and you kind of do need to hop around a little bit, but most of the links are in the description, and we will add more to this video description once we get the updated links, because there are brand new documents that Steve was holding up that is going to become electronic and posted online.
Yeah, and these are actually going to be put in what I'm calling a school packet, where I'm going to have them packaged up where, somebody sends one and they get a certain number of trifolds, some of the rat cars, the hand kids, and they get all of it kind of in one envelope. So it's just a one and done kind of send it out kind of thing. So
that's great. Steve, they picked the right person for the job as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, your passion is just, you can see it. I love the drive that you have for this, and I think your steps that you're taking is the right steps to really help out ham radio. I really do thank you for that.
And I thank you for giving me the time to try to get the group to help spread the word here. So.
Absolutely.
Terrific.
Let's go back up for a second. Amanda, did you have any questions that came in?
Oh, just like a bazillion comments. First, everyone saw you come in, Steve, and they're like, "Good game,
Yeah,
good
don't
game,
leave,
good
Steve. We'll come
game."
back to you in a second. Was there? Yeah, I saw a ton of questions. We did try and answer some of them live.
We did, and
there
I
any
think
I
that
missed?
Steve answered like a lot of them. Mostly, it was again, my wife is a school teacher. I want to get them involved. Have them reach out to Steve directly. That's definitely the best way. The school boards and principals, like he explained it just perfectly. I don't even know how else to say it, except for that school boards usually like to see teachers or principals bring an idea to them and they want to put a stamp of approval on it.
Yeah.
So, and know that it's not going to cost them any money. That's it. Right?
That's the big one. It doesn't have to cost them a dime. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, Steve, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I really do appreciate it. And again, everybody, K5ATA at ARRL.com. That's how you're going to find Steve.
.org.
.org.
Thank you for the correction. .org.
Steve, wonderful. Thank you for representing us. Teaching.
I'll stick around through this in case somebody pops up anymore or whatever.
So we
and just a reminder that your ARRL membership fees pay for this.
That's right.
And it's a worthwhile.
And I'm going to go ahead and throw this little plug out there. A lot of people used to support my YouTube channel to help kids. And they asked me, how can we support getting youth on the air now? And that's where I sent you that one page that was how to donate. One, be a member. That helps tremendously. But two, if you want to give over and above that, you can give directly to the ETP fund, which that goes straight to the fund that helps run these teachers institutes. And
is that available here, Steve?
Yeah, in that list down there, it should say ETP or Education Technology Program.
Yep, right here. So
that's it.
Also linked in the description under the donation link. So if you want to help out what Steve is doing, this is literally helping, support your efforts here. I think that's the way to do it.
That money goes just into that pot. It doesn't go to any other program. That's kind of my money pot for getting kids and education into the hobby. So,
and everybody who sent a super chat, because I know a lot of them were mentioning Steve, any super chats that I get today, I'm going to dump it all in there. So thanks again, Steve, for
that's
coming.
Awesome, because I think that's where a lot of them wanted to see it go.
That's where they wanted it to go. I know where they meant it to
Josh.
go. So that's where it's heading. Anyway, Steve, again, thank you so much for coming out here. I always do appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, man, it was good to see you again in Hamcation. I'll see you at Hamvention then.
See me at Hamvention and a bunch of other people that I didn't get to meet in Orlando. So
that's right. There'll be a lot more there too. All right, Steve.
All right.
Take care. Appreciate it, buddy. See ya. All right. So Amanda, I think I throw to you because we got a fun little thing we want to talk about. Unfortunately, no amateur radio newsline.
Nope.
No space weather woman this week,
No.
guys. Sorry about that, but we do have something. So
I'll bam, bam, bam.
No,
but
well, you could bam, bam, bam. You could step in for that if you want.
We have a church bell antenna. Who's ever heard of doing this, right? This is so funny. I'm working a contest a couple weekends ago, and I talked to somebody I kind of know. I've worked him a couple times, and he says, I'm working on a church bell antenna. I'm like, what? Come again? I mean, I've heard of some weird things like a barbed wire antenna around 500 feet, lighting it up, and and I'm okay. So I didn't believe him, and I think I questioned him on air, or I said, okay, whatever, man. Kevin, is his name, and he sent me the YouTube video. So now he proved me correct that he's got a church bell antenna. So check this out from K0KLB.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Out here this morning for random metal objects on the air. We're going to try and
man after my own heart.
This old church bell will do as an antenna. Now it's minus 6 degrees out here this morning. I've got a little bit of a breeze, so it's tolerable, but we're going to get the clam ham shack out, set up here, and see what we can do. Now this old bell came out of our old church that was built in 1920, and hang on a second.
Oh, I love the history here. That's great.
And it was replaced by a new church in the 70s. So the new church got a new bell, so we brought the old bell out here and put it on the farm. And every morning I open up the shade from the house, look out the window and see that and wonder how that would act as an antenna. So today we're going to find out. Now,
It's
you
like
and I
Josh
both
in
know,
lawn
you know,
chairs.
Yep.
it ain't going to work. This thing will not radiate, and
it
we're not
will.
going to make any calls. But you know what? We won't know until we try and find out. So let's see what we can do. Come on, let's go.
Oh, it
That's-
moves too. Interesting. Okay. Oh, that's right. He said -6. I'm thinking, I'm like, do you really need a tent? Oh, yeah. Then I saw the snow. That makes sense.
Woohoo!
Yeah, right?
Well, here's the setup. We got the clam ham shack right here. And we've got a single wire coming from the tuner. Coming right out here. And I just got it alligator clipped right there. I tried to shine it.
Yes.
Rust.
Alligator
All right.
clips, really?
That bell
That-
is 46-inch bell. So it's 46 inches in diameter. And I also did run a counterpoise ground off the tuner back here, off the back side. So we'll see how this works. Let's go inside here. It doesn't take long for the old hands to get cold at -6 degrees. Okay. Here's the setup. We got the radio set up here on a table. Got me a couple chairs. And close up the door there a little bit. We got our little Mr. Buddy heater going to keep us nice and toasty in here, and it is toasty in here. On the radio setup, we got the Zygu G90 connected with a coax to my tuner. It's the MFJ 971 QRP tuner. And on the back side here, we got my single wire over here going up and outside to the bell. And I've got my counterpoise connected right there going out to the back side. Let's see if we can tune this thing up. Okay, we're gonna put on a 5-watt carrier and see how we tune up. Looks like we're about a 1.2 to 1
Wow.
SWR. I think we'll roll with that. CQ, this is Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima Bravo, calling CQ. This is Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima. Well, so far we haven't had much luck. Signals coming into me are pretty weak, and I'm sure nobody's hearing me very well. I'm gonna go out and make a modification that I think might help a little. Let's go. Okay, so modification is, when I put this clamp down here on the metal, it's so rusty, I don't think I was getting to any shiny metal. I tried as much as I could, but I grabbed this vice grip and got clamped down tight, and I wrenched on it to get down to some shiny metal now. So I'm making it good metal to metal and got past the rust. And then I clamped my alligator clip right to the vice grip. And we're going to make some calls and try that, see if that helps us at all.
I love it. That's great.
This is
Oh,
Kilo
who's
1,
that?
Delta November.
What?
Mosquito Party.
Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima Bravo.
Kilo Lima Bravo.
Oh, Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima Bravo.
And I
QSL?
sound good, by the way.
QSL, Kilo Zero, Lima. I can see that. Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima Bravo. Kevin, you're 5555 here into Colorado.
Well, thank you. You're my first contact. You're 5-7 into Iowa.
On a bell.
All right.
Well, let's do this. I posted the link in the description so everybody can continue and go watch that video. I don't want to rob him of any of the views that he so rightly deserves. But we
true.
did see Amanda, and so we know it works. That's super cool. That's fantastic. I linked it in
Yeah,
the
it is.
live stream chat, but I'll post it in the description too so you guys can follow along for that. That was a nicely done video, by the way.
And I had absolutely no idea. Like, he sent me the email afterwards saying, by the way, I was on a church bell. I was like, what? And
That's
I
really
watched the
cool.
video. It was really amazing. So, and it sounds like he does this a lot. So, Josh, you got some competition out there on what you can make an antenna out of, evidently.
Yeah, I've got a couple more. I've got two big ideas that I need to do videos for that I'm looking forward to do. Always fun to see what you can do making an antenna. Got a couple more things. We're past the hour, but I think it's worth mentioning. So
we got some stuff to talk about.
yeah, Amanda, why don't you mention the first thing, and then we'll have a little roundtable on the second, I guess. Yeah.
So if this didn't come as a surprise to anybody, guess what? You're not allowed to plan or commit any crimes using amateur radio or CB radio or radio at all, personal radio as they call it. Just wanted to let everyone know that.
If you didn't know.
Yes, if you didn't know.
Right.
This is also a radio. So please stop your drug deals on your cell phone.
Stop using your handheld radio here, your phone radio.
We have put out a notice to Gordo to stop his cartel movements on 3 gig in the California area.
On his mesh node system.
Yes, on your mesh network, Gordo. That in all joking aside, if you hear something weird or that you think is probably illegal, or if somebody's using codes, by the way, which is also illegal on amateur radio, maybe just alert your local law enforcement. That's it. Or record it if you can, just in case there's something valid to it later on. But the fact that the FCC feels like they have to release these warnings to us is a little bit insulting.
I agree. I agree.
Not a fan. We saw it again last January 2nd or January 6th, excuse me. And again, felt insulted that they had to tell us because if somebody was going to be doing this, they were going to be doing it regardless.
Hams didn't do this, right? This is people who picked up radios that are easy to buy.
You're absolutely correct.
And then use them for nefarious purposes.
Yep. So, if you feel like your repeater is getting infiltrated, shut it off. You're the control operator, and that's your job.
Yep.
Those are the things. All right, moving on from there.
Yes.
You do crime, you do the time, whatever. Public service.
It has been mentioned. We have mentioned it.
Yes. I feel like I've been the responsible adult here now. Okay, but more serious.
Yes.
The National Forest Service had put out this whole open comment period on a service fee use of their sites. And Josh is going to bring this up from the ARRL site, but the actual text of it is really, really confusing to read. So you actually didn't know what it was talking about. I'm here to break it down for you.
Yep. Explain it to me like I'm 12, Amanda.
Okay. So the Forest Service has all of these awesome spots and all of these mountaintops in our national forest. And they've had towers on them and have been maintained by the Forest Service or other entities for years upon years upon years. And we're talking 50, 60, 70 plus years where they've had these communications towers in place. And amateur radio has always been allowed to use these free of charge because we're a nonprofit and we do the greater good of emergency communications or what have you. Now, all of a sudden, the Forest Service feels like they need to charge us the same amount of fees that they might have a commercial entity on their tower for. Not cool. So we have a problem here, Houston. A lot of clubs, a lot of individual repeater owners have had established repeaters on these sites for, again, many years. I'm talking long established clubs. Let's talk about even like Santa Barbara Amateur Radio Club, who's been around for 100 years. Whenever that first tower came up, I guarantee you they had a repeater at these sites. California in a whole has tons. Colorado probably, I don't want to say it's exactly 50%, but I could say it's close to 50% of all of our repeater towers are put at Forest Service tower sites. And the fact that they want to charge us commercial rates is ridiculous. Let's think about it. What do you pay your average club, your amateur radio club? Maybe $20 a year, at the most $40 a year.
Right.
How many members do you have to be able to afford what they're saying? And this is a really ridiculous number, because they don't actually tell you what the end number is going to be. They start at $1,400.
Starting at $1,400.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we don't know if that's per lease site,
Mhm.
or if that's per entity, or if that's what commercial people start to pay, and they have to put that on every customer that they're leasing their real estate to
Right.
on that tower site.
You start
So it
getting
gets-
treated like a commercial user instead of just a volunteer service that is just positive for the community. We're not
Yes.
making money off of it, right? It's strictly there for
Absolutely.
support the community.
Let's go back to California. So this is a
Mhm.
big one. You guys have so many wildfires there.
Yep, the
And,
CalNet stuff.
And everybody, they have a huge mesh network there that is hosting all of these cameras for fire spotting and everything else.
Mhm.
All of that equipment the hams have donated and put on those towers. They didn't hire tower climbers, or if they did, it was because they were required to.
Mhm.
But they put this all on themselves. They donate the equipment, and now they want to charge us to do that, to be a public service to them to
Mhm.
spot their wildfires. So how is this okay? Again, the open comment period is from March 1st until March 31st. And this is where all of us need to get together and make sure that we point out why this is important, that we don't have the fees imposed on us as well as commercial entities, because we're completely different. We're nonprofit. We're here for emergency communications. And yes, we have repeaters on there that we might use to do nets and things like that. But that's what we call exercising our repeaters and stretching
Mhm.
its legs. So we make sure that there's still an operational use for whatever else is coming.
That's right.
It's almost a slap in the face that they would like to do this to us. But
Well,
I
I
think
think again, it's that they just don't understand. I think they're using an every problem is a nail and I am
Sure.
a hammer. That's how they're handling it. Is everything must be commercial. Everyone must pay rent. We don't play favorites. We are the government, which we know is not true. But that's the interesting point about this. Is again, we do our own service. It's our own equipment. They do nothing other than allow us space, and oftentimes it's space that is going unused anyway, which I
And
think
I-
should be reminded when we talk about it.
And I'm looking like this is not an anti-government kind of sentiment. I get it. They have lost quite a bit of money in the
Sure.
last 2 years
Yes.
during two shutdowns and no visitors and nobody allowed in. And I think that it's probably not just this department of the government, but everybody has to do this to make up for their losses. This is just one way where they're just doing it wrong.
Mhm.
Is my personal opinion. Gordo, what do you have to say about it?
No, I agree with you. I think they're looking at the big picture, not the individual ham radio system that helps support the fire comms and the evacuations and the evacuation points at a school that are so vital for the fire department to know where the residents who have been evacuated are going. So we really need to take advantage of the 30 days left that we can all comment. And I'll leave it up to you, Amanda, to maybe suggest, do we comment to the league or do we try and go to our elected officials? Where do we voice our comments to via email?
That's an absolutely great question, Gordo. And Josh, you have that website pulled up. We have the ARRL link to
Mhm.
it,
Right.
but they do want their own comments given directly through their website, the National Forest Service. So
Yeah, you need to go directly to the source on this one and
Yes.
comment on the platform that they want the comments coming in. I'm sure the
my
ARRL. Go ahead.
my biggest suggestion would be is to reach out to maybe your section manager, because every section manager is aware of this, and they might have, I wouldn't want to say have a form letter that you're just going to sign, because nobody likes that. A politician doesn't like that.
They don't like
Right,
copy-paste.
right.
Things
Yeah.
like that. Take some of their suggestions and put it into your own. Put it and actually think about how you would feel if you found out that your club-sponsored repeater was no longer going to be able to be on the air, and what would you do because of that?
Right, and you can point out
those kind of thoughts.
You can point out the issues in this, right?
Yes.
Take the viewpoint of the $1,400 to start is something that they charge AT&T, commercial entities that are making money off of having equipment there. Take that and then take the juxtaposition of we are amateurs. Most of the time, these repeaters are there as either a primary emergency communications method by an ARRL group or a club that supports emergency communication. And then you go even a step beyond if you start talking about the mesh networking with Arden and the little webcams we use to look over a forest area that we have literally used to spot forest fires in areas where humans often do not tread.
Absolutely. And, when I had posted this on the section Facebook page, somebody had read the wording of this article is so crazy, you guys. If you read it, you're like, I don't even know. So someone thought, is this affecting me as a POTA station? No. If you're going to a tower site and doing POTAs, yeah, but that would most likely be a SOTA thing. But it's not about fee-based for visiting the area. This is definitely real estate on a mountain site, on a tower, or in their building. And a lot of us have separate buildings from what they have, or even backup power and things like that. And we pay for our own power a lot of times on these sites. So they can't even say anything about that. But
that's right. Here in Orange County, we have a service called Orange County Parks Irvine Conservancy Fire Watch. And what we do during red flag alerts is we staff via ham radio operators, those hams looking at all the different cameras that the Forestry Service and others have put in to look at areas. And we are the eyes that first spot any bits of smoke. And we communicate through those repeaters up at their mountaintop sites on what we are doing for them and watching for potential fires.
Absolutely. It is one of the most important things. And ask the people below that live in those foothills where there's 4,000 homes that are about to burn up, whether they want somebody to spot that fire when it first ignites or after it's 15 acres, and tell me how they feel about it. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about this, and it's been very disturbing to think that we're not going to be able to afford half of these sites now because of it. So do your jobs, everybody, and fill out those comments. And again, a comment, it sounds like a comment, but it's not going to be hashtag USFS sucks. Okay.
No.
This is actually a letter.
Take the time.
To whom it may concern, I am very concerned about hearing about your imposed fees for USFS tower sites that include amateur radio equipment. Start like that. That's a great start. And then you just be passionate and be yourself about why. So that's where I'm at on it. So do your jobs.
We're all pretty passionate about this. Even if you are an HF primary operator, this is still something that is stepping on the space that amateur radio has traditionally lived in, right? We don't want the service to get rolled into every other commercial whatever, because it greatly undervalues the service and the hobby. It greatly underrepresents what we actually do. And if we allow one thing to start happening like this, it will just be more and more and more. As Gordo mentioned with, 3.8 gigahertz, right? The same kind of thing. We have to be vigilant. We'll remain vigilant. Another reason why the ARRL is out here, we're literally reading off the ARRL website, trying to make it known to the members. So make sure if you got two actions, consider joining the ARRL this evening and making yourself a letter and getting in there and sending it to the Forestry Service.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Gordo,
go ahead. And a carbon copy to the ARRL as well.
There you go. Gordo, do you have any comments to wrap things up here?
Nope. I think we've raised some great points tonight. We're so lucky to have the American Radio Relay League in support of the amateur radio service. They are a #1 organization, so join up if you're not a member. And if you are a member, let's let those comments fly to both your forestry service as well as the very common ARRL address on email.
Very good. Well said. Amanda, anything you want to mention? Nets, perhaps, and
Yes,
anything else?
Nets. I thought I saw that Kevin might not be on 7192, but I also saw that someone else, WY7YL, was no, that's the wrong call sign. Anyhow, Tim from Wyoming was possibly going to start it up instead on 7192. 14 Charlie for D-Star and 31012 for DMR. And one other thing, Ukraine, America stands with you.
Yep. Very well said. All right, everybody, that'll do it this week for Ham Nation. We thank you for taking the time. If you enjoyed this, consider dropping a thumbs up. We appreciate it. And yeah, I'll talk to you this Saturday. We'll be talking about radio communications in the Ukraine. Both what has been seen or heard on the radios, how to potentially listen to what's going on in the Ukraine, and some really interesting stories that we're finding about one side of this conflict using some relatively inexpensive radios, potentially wide open, allowing everyone to hear whatever they're doing at any one time. So
I might have saw that.
That should be a fun topic, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll catch me again on Saturday for the Ham Radio Crash Course Saturday live stream. All right, everybody. 73, thank you so much for watching. See ya.